This episode is fun and contains strange things. In the last video, in the story of a situation that occurred between Pope Kyrollos and President Abdel Nasser, and how God turned evil into good, we start with Dr. Khaled Montasser, who published Postdot, Photo Dead, You Secularists Don't Care. Except the hijab. He kept saying the hijab before the account. High prices end when women veil themselves. Did the secularists do it? A. Only the veil occupies them. And the writer, Dr. Khaled Montasser? Is this reasonable? I don't believe it either. Counselor Ahmed Abdel's post was published. Isn't it strange that they are graduates of horror schools? Superior to graduates? Other schools are science and morals, and then we meet this with the infidelity of nuns and priests. Publication day, Dr. Khaled post Dawood of Ramadan. Believe it or not, Abdel Mahif, 45 years old from Mansoura, is married to 4 women with whom he has 10 children and lives in one house. Writer Dr. Khaled Montasser commented on this news, questioning the pride in it. Venermin wrote to him hilariously that he was able to spend on 16 individuals. By the way, I searched for the story of Abdel Mugaith. This is on the internet. I found a conversation of the day with Hajj Abdel Mugaith. He said that since childhood he has worked in the poultry trade with his father and mother, and he inherited this trade from them, and he did not obtain a certificate. He married his first wife at the age of 20 and now has 12 children. He added that for many years his first wife performed her duties without hesitation. Then a friend urged him to marry again, so he married a second wife. His first wife helped him convince the third to join them, and later he married a fourth in secret. Initially, his first wife was very upset. When he told her about the marriage a week later, she broke down in tears. I was about to shoot the second one, and I appreciated her reaction, but after she calmed down, she began to ask me about the details and asked me to visit her, and things became excellent between them later. He added that I did not worry about living with my 4 wives in one house, but rather I married the third. My second wife objected and asked me to separate. Due to her youth and different mindset, she was pregnant and eventually had an abortion. God did not ordain her to have children with me, and we were divorced, but my other wives have a good relationship with each other. I have 3 in one house, and the 4th in a house alone. He adds that I have made a daily schedule, not a weekly, and this is an excellent solution in my opinion, and he says that I have not regretted marrying 4. But the only obstacle is that the expense is large, and I am responsible for 4 houses. And their children. We come back for comments. Dr. Khaled Montasser, Dr. Khaled published the news from Sharqiya. Saudi Arabia launches a virtual experience to touch the black city that also simulates reality, published by Dr. Khaled Montasser. This post was written by one person. Let's assume that a citizen killed Ibrahim Isa. Is this considered a crime or garbage removal, and also for himself? On is that I had another post commenting on Al Jazeera Mubashir News that says this is horrific. A meteorologist is crying on the air because of the strength of Hurricane Milton, the American center of juice. The maximum wind speed accompanying Hurricane Milton is 270 km/h. A video showed tears on air. Fearing the hurricane, Al-Wahed commented and wrote, despite the human tragedy, but unfortunately I feel joy and gloating about them. I wish America more destruction. Their weapons and ammunition destroy Lebanon and Palestine, and by Iraq and Afghanistan.
Syria and Libya.
Abdel. Dr. Khaled Mitsef wrote a comment on the two previous posts. He disagreed, sir, with Ibrahim Issa as you want. He presents a political point of view that it is impossible to consider Hamas or Hezbollah as resistance movements. This is his point of view, and this is his opinion. He refuted his opinion, and he acted with logic, but this speech is considered a low level of political disagreement dialogues, which became disgusting, and what made the mess worse was pastry of his words about the American hurricane and his gloating about the victims. A religious dictionary about a natural disaster, as the bird said, of course, was among the comments. A master of medicine books. You don't respond to the man with logical words. Don't you mind that you won't find responses that use your sense of humor? Dr. Khaled Nasser responded to him and said to him, this is your responsibility. My sense of humor is crazy. Hopes were written in civilized countries. This is called incitement. Friendly relationships are a crime in themselves, and the forbidden is legally punished, but we do not have this. We are still too early to reach this point. Marwan wrote explicit incitement to murder, and the prosecution, if respectable, would turn to the investigation, and Ibrahim Issa may complain about it, but the important question is, will the judiciary apply the punishment? Fair? To him? Didn't you write this incitement to murder? Does this hold him accountable? Don't respond to what Ibrahim Issa says. Face to face with dialogue, logic, and reason as well. Dr. Khaled Nasser published this news from the Hemeti monitoring network threatening Egypt, accusing the Egyptian army of bombing his forces in Sinai province, and wrote a comment on this. Who are you? I love Sudan and its people, but this one. People will destroy it as well. Spreading this news is an opinion. The defeat of October 7th will remain the greatest defeat for the Israeli entity and the Zionist movement. Since its inception, Netanyahu may attack Iran on this day if America gives him the green light in a desperate attempt to erase the roots of that defeat that has become immortal in history, and Israel's wounds from it have not and will not heal, and no one will erase them. These are the words of Ahmed Mansour. Majed wrote Unnatural and Unlimited Football. The Egyptian army and the October 6 victory seem like Israel's defeat was a defeat for the Brotherhood. Belonging to the Brotherhood erases national sentiment. Jalal Amer wrote that snow doesn't sell in Eskimo countries, and ignorance doesn't spread here. Al-Arab Sausan also wrote strangely, is it going to happen today or what? A post not about Islam and Muslims, your safety, 1,000 peace. Dr. Khaled responded to her and said to her, may God bless you. Good that you thought of me. We seek help from God's people. While waiting for the Masonic check, Muhammad Jibril wrote to Dr. Khaled Nasser, they will be paid for these Freemasonry products, Dr. Khaled. I myself will be paid in dollars. Majed also wrote, Sister Sausan, one will listen. On these checks, they do not see them, and everyone who talks about mentioning their circumstances, whether normal or average. It's just that the people who are educators and who work there are clerics. They have palaces, cars, and accounts worth 1,000. So I don't know if the checks arrive incorrectly or what. If you have information, let me know. I will give you a reward. Abir wrote that he threatens Egypt. Hemeti threatens Egypt. Did the Sudanese flock to Egypt with this? Habits? intended? I hope I misunderstood the woman who published this post by Walid Atef. In the pictures are fairy, Ariel, and things that were required of the Egyptian people are that they bite them. It is written in the post Keenan Cleaners, Deir al-Bala, Bad Tuesday roundabout, the old cemetery. You honor us, Gawali. I mean, it is announced that it exists in abundance. As a civilian, Al-Latif wrote in the comments that there is no genus of the creature of Palestine. Talk about boycotting like, I mean because of the events. What are the events? Oh, the war on Gaza, where Egyptians are cutting themselves off in order to cut off any American brand product that employs thousands of Egyptians, of course not out of love and encouragement for the local product. Don't lie, there is no support. Of course, Fairy, Ariel, and Downy are vital products. He told me that there is no need for them in the sector. There are no Egyptian products. Okay, Muhammad wrote exactly like me about the Egyptians who are determined to win on October 7th. Yasmin wrote that he is still in a position to still talk about this Hari. I mean, I think after a year her condition will be enough. It proved that it was a failed idea and it did not have any 30 necessary, meaning that's it, we tried it for a year and it didn't work and it had a negative impact on the ground. So we were left with a second person who published this picture, but the boycott brought results. He did, my sister, bring a result after it was Gaza, but it became Gaza and Lebanon. Ahmed wrote a passage from who? Palestinian? His dream is that he works in Israel? Salaries in Israel are times the minimum salaries. Amr Fahmi, 12. The picture is dated and it is written on it. This is the Renaissance that we have been waiting for. A picture of a candidate for the Afghan parliament. The question remains here. She is still imagining. Al-Arabiya, the news was published. Israel is bleeding the heart of Beirut. Third, it was as if an earthquake hit the Israel Broadcasting Corporation. Netanyahu rejected Biden's request to end the operation in Lebanon before Hezbollah is liquidated. Sheikh Ahmed Karima women may wear makeup to improve the body within the limits of legal morals. Haida Publishing Union. This post is the prices at the airport. Mineral water, small mineral water bottle. 197 Indonesian pounds, Indomie box ready for 150. Nigi remains to the story and the situation that happened between Abdel Nasser and Pope Kyrollos. It actually happened. Pope Kyrollos went to the president in his house and God turned evil into good. At one time, the Minister of the Interior closed a church in Mahdi's residences after Pope Kyrollos opened it and prayed in it. He was the Minister of the Interior at that time and closed the church. The Pope was upset and angry and went to the monastery. Meanwhile, the idea came that the Emperor of Abyssinia called a conference of the Orthodox churches. This was for the first time in 1965, and he requested that this conference be chaired by Pope Kyrollos VI. The situation at that time was implemented Marmina in King Mario II on the specified date. Patriarch of the Armenians and Catholicos of the Armenians and also Catholicos of India and Patriarch Mary Ignatius Jacob went to the Syriac Orthodox. Some bishops went from the Coptic Church, including Father Al-Mutanah, Samuel, the Reverend Esnasius, personalities from the bishops, and of course other bishops from Abyssinia and others. The conference remained suspended for 2 days, and the emperor said that the conference could never be opened except in the presence of Pope Kyrollos and in person. the Ethiopian ambassador to Egypt went to the Pope in King Mariut, prostrated himself at his feet, and said to him, "Save me from this crisis, the Emperor of Egypt, that the conference could only be held in the presence of Pope Kyrollos. And also came one from Ethiopia named Kyriakos Michael. This was the economic advisor to the emperor."
The Abyssinian Plains effort went to Mariut.
Pope Kyrollos prostrated himself among those who came and said to him, "Please, I was present by the emperor. Do not punish me. The emperor, son of the church, do not lose. I cannot be able to return to Ethiopia without you. I will lose my job, and the Copts will lose my job. I am the economic advisor to the emperor, and with many attempts before the Pope, he is traveling." This speech was a day. Thursday afternoon, the state was following up on this topic because they actually want the Pope to go to Ethiopia. And when the state learned that the Pope had agreed to travel, orders were issued to all the passport officers that they work on Friday and facilitate the task of the people that Pope Kyrollos wants to take with him. And there were people who were prohibited for reasons that they were traveling. President Abdel Nasser allowed all those requested by Pope Kyrollos to go, and the Pope went, and the state was very interested in this travel. And when the emperor and the entire Ethiopian state went there, they went to meet him at the airport, and then the emperor himself relinquished his palace to him and said to him, "Are you coming down here?" He said to him, "No." He fasted with the emperor and said to him, "Are you the one who descends into this palace? You are the first man in Ethiopia today who actually stayed in the emperor's palace, and there are traditional images in which the lion redeems the palace, and Pope Kyrollos stands in the era."
This lion, my real, is not
statue, because in Ethiopia they consider that the emperor is the lion coming out of Sabbath Jehoshaphat, because the queen of 7 days, Solomon, when he married her and gave birth to her from Lech, who is the head of the royal family, it became as a tradition and pride of the emperor of the horde constantly to place a lion animal in the courtyard as a sign or symbol, because it is the lion coming out of Sabbath Jehoshaphat, and said to the Pope, "Give me a promise that you will attend." Every year I build you. I insisted specifically. After that, attended the conference. After the conference was over, the emperor wanted to give souvenirs to the card, the bishop, and the members of the conference, and said to them, "These are not from me. These are from Pope Cyrus, because he is the first man in Ethiopia." After which the emperor accompanied him on all the journey. In the country of Ethiopia, he went with him to the monasteries and the most important country, a country called, which contains the Ark of the Covenant that the Queen of Sheba took, and those associated with it there in gaining this city is very important. The religious base of the Abbasids is there. The emperor accompanied the Pope on all his journeys and was with him at all the landmarks in Ethiopia. On the day of the trip for the return of Pope Kyrollos to Cairo, the emperor went to bid farewell, and the whole country went away. After he greeted him, the cannon fired 21 shots. The Pope then boarded the plane, and the emperor held up the 520 greeting of peace until the plane was in the air. The Egyptian ambassador to Ethiopia was present, and he conveyed all of this to the state, so the status of Pope Kyrollos in the state was despised. For your information, at one time in the early days of his reign, there were people who wanted to sign between the patriarch and the president, and they said, "Why? Pope Kyrollos didn't go to President Abdel Nasser. Does the Pope visit and not visit?" The important thing is that there was a crisis. But the Pope gave gold to the president in his house, and God turned evil into good. This interview was a very happy interview. The president was very affected by it, and the Pope put his hand on the president's heart. I heard this from the Pope personally. He placed his hand on the heart of the president and his family, and the king's heart in the hand of God. The president at the time, affected by this visit, told him that you never need to ask permission from a minister or anyone else never ever to leave your home and come without permission and come anytime you want. Thus, everything turned into good. After the first 4 years, there was some kind of crisis. What the well? The topic turned into this beautiful picture that made the president respect and esteem him and ask for his prayers. He also tells the government that anything that Pope Kyrollos requests must be answered and the name of the Lord be glorified. If you like the video, I hope you subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so that everything new will reach you, and share with us with comments, and thanks for all lovers and followers. Thank you.